can go down complete rabbit trails on Facebook and Instagram. But, and I'm sure you've probably been there, if you have a LinkedIn profile, and I guess we're going to talk about that tonight, but the people who reach out to me, and I have to tell you, it's sometimes difficult when people say, oh, you coach 45 CEOs at any given time, we need to connect. Well, they want to connect because they want introductions to my CEOs. They could care less about me. But the people who want to connect and immediately are asking for something. And so I've become the old man, the stay off my yard, stay out of my yard to the neighbors. By telling people when they do that, I was kind of hoping that I would see you deliver value to somebody before you start asking me for something. And they don't always respond to that. But having said that, it is part of, and I don't want to steal your thunder because we'll get to LinkedIn and some ideas there. Some follow-up ideas. When you have a networking event, when you've established a relationship, if there is anything you have promised to do, write it down, document it. I put it in notes on my iPhone to make sure that that's something I follow up on, because that is my brand out there. And if I said I was going to do something, I want people to associate, yeah, Carl seems to always do what he says he's going to do. The other thing is handwritten notes. And my apologies, because on the table right by our front door is a box of thank you notes that I was going to pass out. But it's something that I recommend you have on you. If somebody makes an impression on you at an event, generally people don't follow up. They have the best intentions. Hey, we ought to get together for coffee. Oh, let's get together with our families, or whatever it is. If somebody makes an impression on you, your ability to follow up immediately, and handwritten notes are so a thing of the past. But it takes time, it takes energy, it takes focus. You got to put a stamp on it. But when you do that, it's a differentiator. So that's one thought. Another thought, there is an app called Ink, I-N-K, that if you take a picture at an event, say Ethan and I are together. Hey, Ethan, before we leave, let's get a selfie. Take the picture. It's now in my photos. Through Ink, I can create a card, address it, send it to him. Ethan, it was awesome meeting you at New Springs Church. Hope to see you again soon. It's a picture of us. It's self-addressed, and I think it costs $2. I mean, it's barely more than the stamp that it takes to have that. But I received that one of those once. I had to follow up with that person. It was such a novelty. It's like, that was so cool. Tell me more. So anyway, there's that. There's also, if you're really trying to make an impression, there's an app called Bonjoro that allows you to embed a video into an email. And same thing, I learned about this because somebody sent one to me. I met them, and 30 minutes later, I get an email from the person, and it's a video message. Carl, so much love to hear about your coaching career and how you're doing A, B, and C. Let's get together soon. We really made an impression. I'd love to and breakfast is on me. I called him a meet and gimmicks and that. Sometimes it's taking the time to look somebody in the eye, ask them good questions, and deliver value. And that makes all the difference. Because as you probably know, so many of these things are transactional. By the end of the day, the week, all the names and faces kind of blur together. It's the one or two that stand out that, okay, that makes a difference. I would like to see that person again. Let me see if there's anything. How am I doing time-wise? Okay. There is also a philosophy of identifying 15 to 20 people who make a difference in your life. In some cases, they may have already made introductions. It may be a former boss. They're people that you have benefited from that relationship in the past. Reach out to them. Stay in touch. Thank them. And when they have interests, you know, whether it's, you know, the Panthers game, because you know they're avid fans or something, but reaching out that touches their world. But I wrote a blog post years ago about somebody who had made a difference in my life. Called me up, thanked me, but he is a coach. And it was about him as a coach and what he did for me 35 years ago. People read that, and he said, Carl, people commented on the blog that I coached 30 years ago. I didn't know the impact that I had in their lives. They've since reconnected. He is still coaching. He is still doing things for them. And so people that have already invested in you and you've benefited from, again, maintain those relationships, reach out, thank them. And I know this happens to me. People that I haven't seen in a decade will call and thank me for something. And while I'm accepting the thanks, I'm also thinking about, what else can I do for them now? Well, we've changed. I've got new. Oh, wait a minute. You know who you should talk to? You know who I can introduce you to? Those are people that they were fans enough to help you at one point, and can certainly do it again. The other thing is building that into your calendar. We're all very busy. It goes back to the intentionality. Who are the people I don't know? What are the organizations that I ought to get involved with? How can I reach those people? But who are the people that have made a difference in my life? How can I maintain relationships with them? You know, part of this gratitude goes incredibly powerful. People that had invested in me that I thought made a big difference, when I was able to share with them how I paid it forward to somebody else, it was more than if I had done something to them personally. It is part of that. It wasn't Christian charity that they exhibited. They were just trying to deliver value, and this is the love of Christ that they were looking to share. And when I can suggest, hey, I took that to heart and I tried to emulate what you did, probably not as well, but let me show you the impact that you have going out in concentric circles. It's really powerful. And one word of warning, when you are networking with someone, do not look past or neglect the people they are with. For example, if my kids are with me and you ignore my kids, I don't care what you do with me, but them's fighting words. The relationships are so strong there. And so sometimes you can't take for granted, that's the woman that I really want to talk to. Who is she with? Who will be important? And so sometimes it's a spouse, sometimes it's a child, sometimes it's someone that they work with. And part of this is, again, your brand, your reputation. So being respectful and honoring those relationships. If they don't like their kids, they'll pull them aside and, but don't make that a assumption going in. So with that, I will wrap this up. I know there's some other things to be covered, but I want to encourage you. It takes some planning. It takes some intentionality. It takes a little bit of courage. And doing it together, doing it in community, always becomes an easy way to address it. But I do want to encourage you. I will make sure that you have my contact information. This is something I've made every mistake known to man when it comes to networking. I think I've learned from a lot of those. And so I'm happy to share advice, types of events or resources. One thing that I guess that has been copied, I did create, this is the checklist to become a master networker. And it takes a lot of what I've learned over the years and creates a checklist. So as you're either trying to do it online or trying to do it at an event, it may give you a thought process and some resources to go through. Okay? Thank you so much.
That was awesome. Thank you, Carl. Make sure I get reconnected here. So, a lot of what Carl shared can seem to be applicable in a business community. But as I tried to set the table at the beginning, this is also our calling in our kingdom work within the church, is serving others, thinking about others. And we have to check ourselves all the time. Are we walking into an encounter with somebody being self-centered? I am very guilty of that all the time. So I'm inspired by people like Carl that have every reason not to be as intentional as they are, but still lead by example, and it inspires me to pay it forward as well. I'm in a position at work where I hire people. It's a complex business, and the people that we hire need to have very specific skill sets and certifications. But some of what Carl said stuck out to me today of what I look for as I'm interacting with people and talking with them. And one of them was their ability to ask good questions. Everybody I talk to, they have great answers for the questions I ask them. I'm more interested in how they're thinking about the meeting. How are they thinking about me or the organization that I work at? So just having good questions in your pocket wherever you're going to, and then that meeting, and that's going to lead to really good things. He referenced Dale Carnegie several times. Again, we didn't plan this, but that's a book that I really based the beginning of my professional career around, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a very practical book and gives great gems in there around being selfless and serving others. So I'd encourage you guys to take a look at that. But thank you, Carl. Chris, are we going to be good on the projector? Okay. So one of the things we're going to try to do really quickly is pulling in a financial exercise based on the financial curriculum that we built last year. If we can get the screen to work, we'll do this. If not, we'll go network. It was Sharon.
It was working fine.
Yeah.
You get up there and speak.
It's my fault. It says it's connected.
We're fighting with the live stream this whole time.
One of the things I wanted to point out, Samuel, so sorry if you can raise your hand back there. Samuel was involved in our financial curriculum that we developed, and there's some practical resources in there around budgeting and cash flow at home. If anybody was needing some help and guidance in that area, introduce yourself to Samuel before you leave today, and he can get you connected with those resources that we have developed within the church. It says connected. And then it dropped. All right. We can cover that next month. So the last thing that we'll say tonight is around LinkedIn. It's important if you're beginning your career, if you're a student, um, if you're trying to advance in your career, that you do have a LinkedIn profile. Again, as a hiring manager, that's one of the first areas. Hey, we're back up. That's one of the first areas I look at when I know someone's going to be. I had a lunch today with somebody that wants to work for my company, and one of the first things I do is pull up their LinkedIn, look at their background, look at their resume, see who they're connected to, see what kind of activities they have. So we'll show that. Hopefully, keep your fingers crossed that we can keep this going. Okay, going back into the financial presentation. So if you think about relationships, some of you might, just feel like you've never started what Carl was describing. The idea of introducing yourself to somebody is terrifying. Maybe you do it all the time. But one of the things that I want you guys to think about, and most people miss both in their personal, thank you, Chris, you rock. One of the things that people miss in their personal financial life as well as in their social life is it's not one big event that we need to accomplish to be successful in life. It's a lot of really small behaviors and interactions that are important, right? Maybe you meet that one person that really has an impact, but more than likely it's meeting a lot of people and having a lot of impact in your life from a lot of different people. Financially speaking, we tend to think, oh, I'm not doing well, I'm not successful, I haven't made enough money, I'm waiting for that big promotion or that big idea that's going to make me wealthy. That happens, but those are very rare stories. The people that are consistently successful in their life know the power of small changes over time that lead to really big things. So there's a financial principle that Albert Einstein called the eighth wonder of the world. If you're in the financial class, you're not allowed to answer this. What is that eighth wonder of the world? I'm sorry? Do we have another Amazon gift card for this guy? Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. So I'm going to show you a little simulation of how this works. So we tend to think of interest in terms of simple interest instead of compound interest. If I earn 10% on $100, I get $10 is 10%. So my $100 turns into 110. That 110 turns into 120. Another question for you. If I offered you 100%